All right, everyone, welcome to this video where our objective is that students will be able to graph linear equations given in any form by first converting to slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is this version of a linear equation, y equals mx plus b, where we have the y-intercept b and the slope m. And so it's really easy to graph once we have it in that form. And so we always kind of prefer to change to this before we graph. And so let's dive right into it here. Get myself out of the way a little bit. We have this equation y or 2x plus 3y equals 6. We want to be able to graph it. To graph it, I first need to solve for y. So this kind of builds on the lesson from yesterday, the previous lesson. And so we're going to solve for y. I'm going to get rid of any other terms that aren't y. So I'm going to start by getting rid of this 2x. To get rid of a positive 2x, I subtract 2x. Whatever I do to one side of the equation, I do to the other. And so this side, I'm left with 3y. 6 minus 2x, those are not like terms, so I'm just going to leave it as 6 minus 2x here. And I'm almost done, but I still have this coefficient to this y. So I'm going to divide each side by 3. These cancel, I have y by itself. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And negative 2 over 3, I'm just going to leave that as a fraction. Negative 2 over 3x. Now, this might not look exactly like y equals mx plus b, but remember the order doesn't matter, all right? M is always the slope, and b is always the y-intercept. B is the constant, the number by itself. So my b for this equation, or y-intercept, is 2, and the slope is the coefficient to x, and that's negative 2 over 3. And so what this means is I need to begin at 2 on the y-axis. So I'm going to go to 2 on the y-axis. All right, plot of 2. And the slope tells me the pattern or the rate of change, right? Change in y over the change in x. So let me go down 2 over 3. Down 2 over 3. So I'm going to go down 2, 1, 2, over 1, 2, 3. And I have another point. Because it's a linear function, it continues at this constant rate forever, down 2 over 3. It only takes 2 points to make a line, but I'll make 3 here. And then I simply just connect these into a line, and I have plotted this equation. So this graph and this equation are the same thing, just kind of shown in different forms here. All right, negative 4y minus 3x equals negative 16. This is the you do. That means you pause it, try it on your own, and then come back. Okay, hopefully you just finished graphing this equation on your own. Again, that's when the learning happens. Make sure you're working on that part. All right, so I'll go over this a little quickly since you do. Start by solving for y. To do that, I'm going to eliminate other terms, starting with that negative 3x, negative 16 plus x. Can't combine those, they're not like terms. Divide both sides by negative 4. These cancel, and we'll have y equals negative 16 divided by negative 4 is 4. And I'll just leave this as negative 3/4 x. So here's the equation. Again, I have a constant, right? A constant that is b. So I have the slope and the y-intercept. The constant is 4. The slope is negative 3 over 4. So I'm going to go to positive 4. And I'm going to go down 3. This is the change in y. Down 3 over 4. This pattern continues forever since it's a linear rate of change. But because I don't have any space, I can't keep it going on this graph. I could go the opposite, up 3, backwards 4. All right, connect these into a line. All right. All right, let's try the you do. This time I'm giving it in reverse. I'm giving you the graph, and I want you to match it with the equation. So we have to kind of see what we have going on here. This is a linear equation, so I want to find the slope and the y-intercept. The y-intercept is 5. That's where it crosses the y-axis. F of x is just another way of saying the y. say this is 5. M is a slope. So how do I get from one point to the other? Change in y over the change in x. The change in y is I go down 2, and then I go over 1, 2, 3. So the slope here is negative 2/3. So I have a slope of negative 2/3 and a y-intercept of 5. All right, so I'm going to have to check these equations out. Right away, I can see that it's not this one. Right, it's not this one because the slope is negative 3, not negative 2/3. But this one looks pretty good. I could solve these ones right here for y, but actually this one looks pretty good to me. Actually, no, it doesn't. All right, this is a negative 2/3 as the slope. This is a negative 2/3, but it's minus. So this is kind of a double negative. Right, so these turn into positives. That's a good trick answer choice. So it's not C either. So we actually need to solve A and D for y and see which one works. So let's try it. A equal, or I'm clearing this out. All right, M is negative 2/3, B is 5. Let's check answer choice A. 2x plus 4y equals 10. Subtract 2x from both sides. You get 4y equals 10 minus 2x. Divide each side by 4. Well, these cancel. I can kind of look at this right away. 10 divided by 4, that's a fraction. And so my constant is a fraction here. That's not going to work. So it's not A. We already know it's not B. We already know it's not C. So it must be D. It must be D, but let's just double check. 3y minus 2x equals 12. Add 2x to each side. Get 3y equals 12 plus 2x. This is not going to work either. So this is a bad question. None of these work, but you can see the process still. You got y equals 4 plus 2/3 x. So this is a bad question. None of these are correct. All right. So we're just going to say none are correct. I'm going to maybe make E none. But you can still follow the thought process there. And that should be enough for you to begin on UDO 2. Again, this is where you need to pause the video, solve the rest on your own. All right. Okay, hopefully you're unpausing and you're ready to solve now, or go over it. This is a linear function because a straight line has a constant rate of change. The m is the slope and the b is the y-intercept. You can see we cross the y-axis right here at 2. So our y-intercept is 2. And I have another point right here. So, the slope tells me how do I get from this point to this point. It looks like I go up 1 and then over 2. And so we have the change in y over the change in x. The slope is 1/2. So I'm looking for an equation with a slope of 1/2 and a y-intercept of 2. All right, a slope of 1/2 and a y-intercept of 2. So let's go through these. 4x minus 3y equals 6. Subtract 4x from both sides. Negative 3y equals 6 minus 4x. Divide each side by negative 3. These cancel. I get y equals negative 2x plus 4 over 3x. Remember, our slope is 1/2, and our b is 2. So that's definitely not a match. It's not A. All right, let's try B. B 2y equals x plus 4. Remember, if there's not a coefficient to the x, there's an invisible 1 there. And so that's going to be helpful in a second here. So we divide by 2. These cancel. I get y equals 1 divided by 2. I'm going to leave that as a fraction, 1/2 x. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So when I simplify this and I solve for y, I get y equals 1/2 x plus 2. That's the same as this equation, right? Starts at 2. Rate of change is 1, up 1 over 2. So the answer here is B. I could prove that C and D are not correct. I'm not going to do that now. But hopefully you got it. If you need further assistance, please see your teacher, and I hope you enjoyed the video.